It's Cheryl Millett here live at 5, Friday, Friday, December the 4th. So how is everybody doing? How is everybody managing, coping, working out their day-to-day scenarios, whatever they need to do? Welcome to Live at 5. If this is very new, it's really about all things healthy, and that includes from the physical to the mental for sure, and unique to everybody, yet there is similarities between everything. So the format usually is you get something new and then get into the news and then present some jokes. So that's pretty cool. So what was something new? I was really trying to think of something new today, only because I decided to do this at the last moment. So what I wanted to actually, this is more of a little techie thing, but there is this software. I'm going to say it's free to download, although you can upgrade, as the usual is with technology. And this is a program called Audacity. So Audacity, A-U, I'm just going to let it come here, A-U-D-A-C-I-T-Y. Now I went to the library, the reference library, and it must have been last winter for sure. And it was a big blowing, snowing day, but they just spoke to Audacity as what it can do. Good evening, Angel. So the interesting thing about Audacity is you could actually do some crazy little clips of music on your own. You can record your singing, you can record, if you're a musician, you can record it very easily, and there's different tracks. So recently, I was going to get somebody else to do an intro track for a video, or actually do music for the Y-Den. It didn't work out entirely. I ended up wrapping up everything. He was moving. It's this whole awesome setup. But I decided just to pull it out. Now I have some instruments here. I might have played I think the harmonica one time. I've got the native drums and singing native, anything like that. So I ended up making my own little music clip, or because it converts to an MP3 file. Very simple, very easy to do, like extremely easy. In fact, it's easy to use. What I used to use it before is I actually used to tape different pieces, similar to podcasting, but let's just say I just wanted to tape anything. And I would just do it on there and have an MP3. Simple as that. Rather than do it through a particular program, go on to Zoom, do whatever it is, and have all of that. It's like an icon, a Word icon, Word or Excel. It's just a program, very short program. But you can do different tracks, and then you can slice and dice and cut. So what I did with the Audacity for the little clip is I had a little clip that I had taken when I went to the spring water. So just my video close to where the water sound comes in. I thought, this will be cool. I'll just get a minute clip. Little did I know that I actually had bird sounds in the back. So that was kind of cool. So I chopped it up a little bit, clipped up a little bit so I could, and you can copy. So you can get little clips, takes little clips of it and copy it. So I ended up having, and because the music is fairly, how can I say it, music is consistently the same sound, it was really easy for me to do. And then I think I put on over another track. So you lay that one first, you take that. So I was playing my video on my computer, and the Audacity was picking up the sound from that video, making sure everything was quiet. And then you go to another track. So while that's playing, then you play another, or you can play an instrument or speak over it, whatever you want to do. And then you can do another track, until and then you just edit the tracks as you want, so you have a specific, this 15-second little piece. But it's really easy to do. So Audacity. So that was my something new that popped in for me. So it's just Audacity. I'll just pull up the website or put the name down below and you can look at it. But it's free to download and it's very easy. If you just wanted to tape anything that you're listening to and make an MP3. It's very, very simple. So there you go, something new. Let's go into the news now. I've gotten back into writing some blogs recently. There was a period of time that I hadn't written anything but some recipes. So I put in the sunshine burger hamburger recipe so you would have it, and posted the link the other day. But I'm doing a couple more, and as a result, hi Lori, and as a result of doing this one blog, it is, what did I name it? I named it something. It's, Of the Times. That's what it is. And as a result of doing Of the Times, being a little bit of news regarding this current event and bringing different things in, I doing some research. So the idea is browsing through and coming up with different keywords and then seeing what they have there, because they typically have the research or the studies or science or where they get it from. So here's December 3rd. This is very recent. FDA, Food Drug Administration, and CDC, Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, finally admit that COVID-19 tests are faulty. So for the past months, government agencies such as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food Drug Administration have been relying on Wuhan coronavirus testing results to track spread of the pandemic. But they're faulty. They're faulty. So they're faulty on many different fronts. I actually found a clip of Carrie Mullis. So Dr. Carrie Mullis, who is the inventor of the PCR test, actually speaks to how, first to the really just the HIV. He just passed recently, but this is about the HIV, a virus, a particular virus. And he says the test isn't being misused. The test is being used just as it needs to be tested. You have some material and you spin it, and there you go. You actually have a elevated number of pieces of material. What material? Very good question. What are they using in the PCR test, and what RNA, DNA? Who knows? But FDA acknowledges false positives increase as actual cases go down. So interestingly enough, so they have, I'm going to post this here so that you can do it, you can read that. And if I have, I don't know if I have still the link, but what I might do too is just post the link of the blog when I finish it. Probably won't be finished it till the end of the weekend as well. But there is the other key thing is the video. So I don't know if anybody ever, which is a little bit earlier, not recent, but I want to read a little bit about this. Here goes, and this is a little bit earlier. I think this is in August. Let me just get here. No, November 7th. So this is the August one. So here we go. As they say, smoking gut jackpot. Yep, right from the horse's mouth. This is Anthony Fauci. I'll say Mr. Anthony Fauci. We're not on first name basis. So here he speaks to this. This is where it is. It's a July 16th podcast. This week in virology, Tony Fauci makes a point of saying PCR COVID test is useless and misleading when the test is run at 35 cycles or higher. So that's the spinning, that's the photocopying, which the PCR test was most, what was invented for that. Consider yourself doing lab work, and in doing lab work you want multiple pieces of the same material, not weeks down the road, but sooner. So this test would photocopy. So as a result, with that spinning and cycling that's going on, it would create more of what? See, that's another piece to that. We can just look at the test as the test, but more of what? Because it's only as good as what information they're guiding it to look for, right? To look for. So the misleading part is the interpretation part, according to Dr. Carrie Mullis. It is the interpretation of what it is. So a positive result indicating infection cannot be accepted or believed at 35 cycles or higher. Now, the interesting thing is, from various people that have spoken to this, is it isn't transparent from the governments of what cycles they're using. Now, quite frankly, they could tell you they're using one cycle, or this number as the cycles, and it could be wrong. I mean, there's no way of knowing. No way of knowing. So if you get a cycle threshold of 35 or more, the chances of it being replicated, confident, aka accurate, are minuscule. You almost never can culture virus detect a true positive result from a 37 threshold cycle or even 36. And some are using 40 or greater. And maybe perhaps, FDA says run the test up to 40 cycles in order to determine whether the virus is there. That's, as they say, this is the crime in a nutshell. So the idea here is things don't add up. If I can figure it out, other people can figure it out. And people have. And the idea is, first and foremost, people needed to, as they did, do a deep dive. What are these tests about? So the idea here is to be in the know that these PCR tests are not trusted. They can't be trusted if you do high cycles as such. Now, they will say, well, there's false negatives. Now, a false negatives would mean that the spin, the photocopying, the cycles would have to be low. If you want to get all false, like let's say somebody comes in and they've got all the symptoms, and they may even have it, but if the cycles are very, very low, everybody's going to be negative anyway. But the critical point really here is transparency, and also at the same time is a little bit more information. And that is, if we have 400 positive tests, they'll say sometimes, the testing positive cases have gone up. How many of them are asymptomatic? How many of them have no symptoms at all, don't end up in the hospital at all, maybe don't even have COVID, maybe it's a cold, maybe it's a flu, maybe it's something else. 'Tis the season for that kind of thing. So there's definitely another test that they were doing, the antibodies test. And there, in reading that research, I'll put this down, this is from cdc.gov. I don't know why they have .gov if they're a corporation. Maybe that's just the mask that they wear because of the way they run, have been running parallel with working with governments. But in here, this is the one, is August, COVID-19 antibody testing. And in here, I'm just going to read one of 4 points of the summary here. But this is serologic methods have important public health and clinical uses for monitoring and responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. So antibodies. Antibodies are most commonly become detectable 1 to 3 weeks after symptom onset. Now, if you don't have symptoms, at which time evidence suggests that infectiousness likely is greatly decreased and that some degree of immunity from future infection has developed. Now, it says some degree. There's a lot of questions here, people. When they say some degree, they don't have any idea. However, additional data are needed before modifying public health recommendations based on the serologic test results, including decisions on discontinuing physical distancing and using personal protective equipment. So the idea is they don't really know. And so a lot is up in the air. I mean, one of the things that was clearly up in the air is how long should you actually stay in quarantine? That was clear as well from earlier research back in May. Is that they didn't really know. So many doctors were saying quarantine for 14 days. Yet when push came to shove, there was no data to show that 14 days was the correct amount. No data. And there was no data to say that a false positive back then may have been very well because you're having residues of them out, but you're not contagious. So a lot of this information, you read through it, they don't have enough information, but yet they'll say that siding on safety, that they're doing all of this damage with the economics. So let's go into a little bit of good news here. Just learned from a neighbor. She sent me this, and because I send out information regarding our community yard sale and stuff, then there we go. Okay, so then she sent me, so here's kind of cool. In Toronto, and I know this has to do with physical distancing and people locked down here in Toronto. So in the community, December Toronto Miracle, they're doing a food drive. So today, the December 4th, tomorrow, December the 5th, people in Toronto, I guess they have a ton of volunteers, are going to be collecting, they're doing a food drive. So all you have to do is put out a bag, let's say, of a product or more, out on the porch or where they can see it, labeled Toronto Miracle, so that they know they're not picking up something that's meant for somebody else. And that's what they'll do. So they can, hopefully they can see it from easily from the street, so that they know they can go up there, save them some time. But that's what you want to do. So Toronto Miracle was started by community members who were concerned about the impact of COVID-19 was having on our city, inspired by similar events held in Windsor and Montreal, Quebec. And so they decided to run this event in Toronto, and that will give everybody an opportunity to donate and contribute to raising food drive. But of course, why do we have all of this? Now, we've always had this. Raising food banks, food drives have always happened. It would be really interesting to know how has it changed this December over last December. This is no different than you might be seeing the flu numbers being 0 to what the COVID numbers are. That doesn't mean they haven't recorded them. People might have had flu. I have heard scenarios where people have had symptoms of cold, not feeling well, and they don't get a test. They just stay home and take care of themselves, and on they go. So something else came up today, and this was had me dive into not only the PCR test but the antigen test, was that Elon Musk took 4 tests from the same company, I believe it was the antigen test, antibodies test, and got 2 positives and 2 negatives. Same nurse, same testing, same day. And Elon Musk of Tesla, for those who may not know, I'm not in the know of too much about him, but it was in the news. So that's interesting. That's just kind of siding with, building the blog with information. Now, good news is more MPPs are definitely, I think I posted below about Belinda, but I'll post it again below, and other MPPs have been coming forth and presenting that they're not getting enough information. And the great news is they're coming up with, well, what did you base your actions on? And how is it that you're not going through regular legislature to pass these choices, these choices that need to be due? So that's really good news. Now, let me just think here of some other things that I have, some other good news. Yes, police are starting to join the protesters. So that's very good news. And I'm just seeing if there's anything here. So the idea is good news is good news. So to find some good news in today is absolutely good. So the good news is more and more people are choosing to be exempt from wearing masks. So just somebody that I know, that I get eggs and chickens for, but I've known her for a while, decided, we were just talking about the mask and this current lockdown, and I have been out still, with this current lockdown, and with no mask. With no mask, I just go in. If they would ask a question, I'd say I'm exempt. So people, again, there's a lot of people, even though they don't worry or they're not concerned or they still question, there is still that element that a number of people don't know, that you can be exempt from wearing the mask. Does it go under human rights? Absolutely. And should it? Absolutely. Because really at the end of the day, there's many questions still around social physical distancing and masks. Lots of questions about the testing as well. Lots of questions. So on that front, and more medical scientists, like the Barrington Declaration kind of scenario, where they're coming together. So this is really cool. Lots and lots. So yeah, hi Diane. Hi Larry. False positives increase as cases go down. Yeah, how interesting. Yeah, how very interesting. Is it like a centrifuge? You know, I've seen centrifuges before, and I'm not quite sure if it works like that. I've seen it in the sugar industry, and maybe, I mean, really centrifuge, just for those people who may not understand what it is. Ideally, what happens is there's just a spinning, and depending on weight, depending on if there's liquid and weights and all that, it's like chemistry, things will fall down. Things will, if there's a smaller size, will go through the screening, right? So you keep the big stuff in, the small will go out, the liquid will go out, keep this in. So centrifuge is just a way for spinning, and you know, that may very well be, I don't know what it looks like, because it's interesting how quick they get these tests. And so it'd be interesting. I've been in a lab, forensic labs before, to see the DNA, and much of the equipment is actually behind closed doors, if I want to say that. It's behind closed doors, because they don't want things to contaminate. So the idea of being able to see something would mean that there's glass, there's something like that to see how it's working, besides taking apart something that is not in use, but you're taking apart to see how it works. So I mean, we did that in the sugar. They had little windows, you know, little windows, and but other than that, you can't really see. Everything is in vats and closed environment as much as possible, so that you avoid contamination. Yeah, we definitely deserve total transparent reports by health agencies and governments. This is where a lot of the confidence is absolutely lowering all the time because of that. And that's where more and more MPPs and doctors, scientists, everything else is coming to question, which is great. Now, I just want to bring up, because to me it's a well worth the topic, is there's this book that I mentioned, The Spirit of Philosophy. I just flipped over the page here, and it's talking about science, philosophy, and religion. And when I hear the word science come up, and I hear people time and time again go, show me the science. Show me the science. Science is king. Science has got to be scientific. The science has to show, you know, believe the science. Where's the science? You just, everything around science, like putting it on a pedestal. I just want to read a little bit from here, and then I'm going to reread Richard Feynman's in his introduction about science, and this really sums it up in a nutshell. I've had people argue with me about this, and oh, you're ruining his name and you're ruining his reputation. Well, this is what I would say to that. If you're not willing to read what he says in its entirety, every single one, not pick and choose and go here and just put them on a pedestal, then that tells me that there's something within us that goes, don't want to be challenged, don't want to know the entire truths, the truths. So I want to read this little piece here as far as this book goes. Now, this book is back from the 1950s, but as far as I'm concerned, when we think of the word science, yeah, definition of science doesn't change, really. You know, that's clear to me, anyway. It may not be clear to you. So I'm going to read this one paragraph here. Science may be considered as a system of verifiable statements about the physical universe. Now you gotta think of physical. That's only what you can see and touch. Or as a method of obtaining such statements. Now, perhaps it is best to emphasize the method, since this is the key to whatever success science has achieved. Science begins with facts and works through induction and hypotheses to statements about relations between the facts that can be verified by an appeal to experience. Now, you'll see when I read the other part. While this method must limit science to objects that can be experienced either directly or indirectly, it has a distinct advantage of giving dependable answers to questions. A distinct advantage. Well, there might be something to that some of the time. No other method can give the same sort of answers. Now, basically, they have labeled scientist and observing into a bucket, whereas you can be a scientist. You can come up with verifiable, experienced, observational facts. So that's why I just want to kind of put it out there that we can all be scientists here. And science is for whatever you observe, which you'll see from Richard's book. No other method can give same. Therefore, it is easy to assume, when we know what assume is, ass out of you and me, that what can be known is known only by science, and what cannot be known by science cannot be known. Now, what I'm saying to you people is science is everything that any one of us do in our experiments and experiences. End of story. So there's much in here, but when I read things like that, it is interesting how it is placed and assumptions are made. Now let me just read what Richard, here's the book, okay? This is a book. If you ever want to talk to people about science, it's worth it. Page 24 of the Introduction Basic Physics here. So let me see if I have enough light here. A few hundred years ago, let me see where I can say it, a method was devised to find partial answers to such questions. Observation, reason, and experiment make up what we call the scientific method. We shall have to limit ourselves to a bare description of our basic view of what is sometimes called fundamental physics, or fundamental ideas which have arisen from the application of the scientific method. This is my best part, the next part. What do we mean by understanding something? We can imagine that this complicated array of moving things which constitutes the world is something like a great chess game being played by the gods, and we are the observers of the game. We do not know what the rules of the game are. All we are allowed to do is to watch the playing. Of course, if we watch long enough, we may eventually catch on to a few of the rules, or who knows how many rules. The rules of the game are what we mean by fundamental physics. Even if we knew every rule, however, we might not be able to understand why a particular move is made in the game, merely because it is too complicated and our minds are limited. If you play chess, you must know that it is easy to learn all the rules, and yet it is often very hard to select the best move or to understand why a player moves as he does. So it is in nature, only much more so. But we may be able to at least find out some of the rules, or at least find out all of the rules in the case of the chess game, because you can read the rules. And actually, we do not have all the rules now. Anyway, I won't go through this all, but that's, in a nutshell, if I were to kind of explain it to you, is limitations come in not only our physical senses, our senses are only our five senses, but the equipment and what we believe the equipment delivers, similar to PCR tests. This is why I kind of brought it in. So as Dr. Cheryl Millett says, the PCR test is a photocopier. So if you spin it that much more and you're looking for a particular thing, remember, you get the results. You get the results. And then you're going to go, okay, I'm looking for this, and let's see how much of that is made. So the more the cycles are in, the more the material or materials or a bunch of materials, because I hear they don't have the isolated virus, gets photocopied. And what does that mean? Well, what if you only had a little bit? Asymptomatic. It's over. You got it from the flu shot. You don't really have anything. So you have a little bit, but yet it gets included as a false positive, right? A false positive. So if you remember, wow, Dave, York Region Chess Champion in grade 8. Yeah, my daughter was really big into chess. I learned how to play chess, and she won thing when she was 6 and 7. She'd beat people who had been playing for 20, 30 years, but it was brilliant. But the idea here is tests, and tests are limited. You may think you have the perfect test, but you don't, because there's other factors still at play that you do not know about yet. And this is no different than the cholesterol myth. The cholesterol myth, similar. Okay, yes, we have cholesterol in our body. Yes, our liver produces cholesterol. Yes, you get cholesterol in the brain. Yes, cholesterol is produced by every cell. Yes, cholesterol is in the arteries, accumulating in some people versus other. Accumulating in people who even don't have high cholesterol according to the tests. Okay, some doctors question a lot of these tests. I have to tell you, there are some big doctors. Dr. Kavanaugh, who's a cardiologist specialist, goes through his book, many of the different tests, and tells you where the limitations are. So he, as a top-notch Sunnybrook cardiologist, with a little bit of alternative, the reason that I read it is because somebody who joined the walk club said that's one of the best ways to bring back and heal after you've had a cardiac event is walking. So he questions the tests, and some he didn't even want to believe it. But here with cholesterol, just because you have cholesterol in your arteries doesn't mean you have high cholesterol. And just because you have high cholesterol doesn't mean you're going to have cholesterol in your arteries. And who makes the limits for those? And the medication that they give for that, what does that actually do? And that's a whole talk in itself. But the idea is to get through that test. Tests are what? What are they really doing? What do they actually say? The theory that it says, or the statements that they say, this was a very interesting thing. And I'll mention this because I know I didn't put it in my blog. When I was listening to Dr. Cheryl Millett speak, and he had this test, and they asked him to put together a proof, a proof on the statement HIV, PCR test, HIV causes AIDS. So HIV causes AIDS, and that's not the exact statement. But what he said next was, okay, well, because this statement is made, I have to go and find proof that HIV if you have HIV, means you have AIDS. And he searched high and low and could not find anything. A top guy, name doesn't come to me, a top fella, it's in the video though, so you'll see the video. You can watch the video if you want. So the top guy, he goes and asks, just so happens to be at a conference, he's there, great, this is the big cheese on this whole HIV causing, if you have HIV virus, causing AIDS. And he went and asked him. And the fella said, well, why don't you check out this? And he said he went and did it. It had nothing to do with that particular virus, HIV virus. So he remembers standing there asking this question, as sometimes I remember being asked questions after lectures or presentations. Other people are coming around to ask questions, so they're just there while you're asking your question, and they're also hearing. So he remembers the look on people's faces of, well, why doesn't he know that? Why Well, how is it that he doesn't have some concrete, definitive research that shows that HIV causes AIDS? So back to kind of here, the good news is perhaps these viruses are not anything to do with what some of the things that come up in the case of AIDS. But even today, with this virus is good news. Maybe this virus isn't meaning what? Meaning what? Is it cold? Is it just flu? Is it just happens to be there, at the scene? So that's the things where, yeah, I had one of those as well. Heart attack, doctors want you on medication. Reason studies say it is a good drug. One of the things around Lipitor, and many of these other things is, and I'll say this because we're talking cholesterol meds here, but any meds, do your research as to the side effects. My understanding with the deep research is that if you take cholesterol, it passes the blood-brain barrier, it lowers the cholesterol in the brain, which is not a good thing, mainly fat there, and 40% of the nutrients that come into the body are required by the brain. I'm just putting emphasis on how much of the nutrients, the water, the air, the food nutrients, goes to a brain that's only 1 to 2 pounds, whatever, smaller, of the whole physical body. So it's a lot that goes to the brain. So the cholesterol that's in the brain naturally is there. The other key reason you want cholesterol is because to produce vitamin D. Vitamin D, the rays from the sun, cholesterol in the skin, produces your vitamin D. That's your vitamin D. But if you wash too often, if you put on sunscreens, and then you put in chemicals on your body to absorb as well, then you are limiting the amount of vitamin D. And why is it that most people, when I was a kid, I would run around, I was in the sun all day, I was in the pool for hours, local park, and we were down there all the time. Yes, had dark color. Yes, I get it. I have not got cancer. I don't have cancer. Why is it that we have cancer more today, skin cancer? Yeah, more soaps, more unhealthy cleansing, too much cleansing, because it takes 48 hours, my reading, in order to produce the vitamin D. So if you're taking a shower every day, I did it, I know you do, and using hot water. So the idea is to shower with as not low of temperature, not as hot as possible. So more warm, and as much as possible so that you're not stripping the oils from your body. Now, the whole face cloth routine, the detergents, as whether it's shampoo or whether it's body detergents, bars of soap, clean. We've been going like clean. Well, has too clean been one of the key reasons for increased cancer? Too clean. It's almost like germs, cooties, whatever, all of these things have been learned throughout societies and cultures for however long, lots and lots. So the idea is no meds, you're going to be healthier. And really, they don't save you in the way that you think they do, and they don't do research on unhealthy people. They do research on healthy people. And then they have no research to say that if you're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, up to 19 one drugs, one client. Somebody was telling me that their friend takes 14 meds just the other day. That many meds, there is no research. Could you come off of them? Yes, you can, but you have to be careful. The good thing about cholesterol meds is you come off tomorrow and you'll have no side effects. No, that's blood thinners, rat poison. But you could. Cholesterol medications are the thing that, because remember, your body's adjusting to things. So you've got to just say to your doctor, I want to come off all the meds. Yeah, those kind of things. And then work with natural ways and all that kind of stuff. So lots of good news. I thought there was another piece of good news I wanted to share. Let me just see if I have. I often just open many things and go. Now we're just going to end it with that. And I've probably got 25 things open here. But that's the deal. That's the deal. And good news is good news. Awareness is good news. But we do have to be mindful we do have to be mindful that other people may not be into hearing anything that goes against the government, goes against the authoritative figures. So the protests are continuing. The court cases, hopefully we'll get more into, and things like that. That's great. Yeah, medication here for 14 years. Excellent. Excellent. So the idea really is to continue on that path. You got to begin with where you are now. That's the key thing. Accept where you are now, and now is the time to question, to look at, to make changes, to morph, to move forward. I remember my father saying, I'll just leave you with this note. And of course I've been, no meds, no meds, no meds with my parents for a long time, is that he remembers, I don't know if it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but decades ago, an older man, probably in his 90s or something like that, and he said to him, what's the secret of living well? Don't take meds. Don't take medications. Now, how he knew that, how he came to that, I don't know, but I don't think he's the first one. In my book, All Guts, All Glory, the doctor from almost 100 years ago was same thing. He recognized that the medications weren't working. A neighbor here who's a psychiatrist said to me, they know the medications don't get to the root cause. They're not the solution. They know that at Harvard. They know. So they know, but yeah, all these medications are being pushed on many people. Just one little side note on the cholesterol thing. What is so important is that you ask for your numbers. So any test that you get done, not just even the cholesterol, get a copy of your report. I just had a client, and I've seen her before, but we're just kind of revisiting things where she does a lot of healthy things. But yet she was saying she has high cholesterol. Now she's on the very low dose of cholesterol. I said, show me the numbers. You know that? Show me the numbers. And she did. And you know what? Her numbers were perfect. Now she's on a little bit of cholesterol, but they're well below the high end where a doctor would say, you're above that range. So ideally, less cholesterol is not better for the reasons I've already explained. So this is critical for our health, that we have the right amount of fats, healthy fats, cholesterol included, anything that our body needs to work on. It's so important that we have that. So the building blocks of the cholesterol, obviously these molecules are quite complex. I can't remember top of mind, but really there's only a handful. Oh, we've got, I think my uncle's telling me he wants to make burgers. So I'm going to, we're supposed to make the sunshine burger tonight. So let's go to 3 jokes here. What did the banana say to the doctor? What did the banana say to the doctor? I'm not peeling well. I'm going to buy some Velcro for my shoes instead of laces. Why not? The past, present, and future walked into a bar. The past, present, and future walked into a bar. It was tense. Anyway, there's those 3, so I'll post them up. I'm happy to share my knowledge. I'm happy to share things in a way as all of us have probably ways that we pick up on information that we have experience in. And this is important, I think, that any of us who see things in a certain particular way that might be helpful. One of the things I'm always cognizant, especially in presentations, is it's not about me knowing anything. It's about me sharing information that would help people move forward in life in a more peaceful, healthy, happy way. Whatever buzzwords we can use there. That's really what it is. I used to say at sometimes presentations, I'm up on the stage only so that you can see me. You can see my lips moving, and Otherwise, I'd be down there with them and speaking that way. But the idea is that. Anyway, I'm going to wish everybody a great weekend. I know I have Philosopher's Quip tomorrow. It's another trial run, I guess. Another run tomorrow night, Philosopher's Quip. I'll talk more about it over time. I won't talk about it every video. But so yeah, so crazy busy weekend. Tomorrow's the first chat walk. That's just, again, bringing people together. So another opportunity other than the Sunday usual Forest Hill walk, to people just to get together to chat, say how they're feeling perhaps, or just talk about whatever, and that kind of thing. So that starts tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, busy. Always things to be busy with. I mean, I have to tell you, it takes me 6 hours sometimes to do one blog. That's just me, because of certain things in reading. But yeah, so have a great evening. Everybody have a great weekend. And enjoy, again, the fun, the laughter yoga. Look it up if you haven't heard about it. And then I think I'm going to write a blog on laughter. Yes, I'm going to write a blog on laughter because there's certain things, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, I've mentioned this before. So to make it short, there's this online school. I complained about the verbiage used in the newsletter because my daughter went to the school, and anyway, we had an interaction. I wrote 12 pieces that they could use in their newsletter around mental health, and one of them was laughter. So I want to write something on laughter for sure. So Cheryl, love you. Thanks for sharing. Yes. Where's my burger? Yes. Yes, Annette, where's my burger? Well, it's a burger with an egg on top, so I'll post that link down below. But come on, Annette, you're just around the corner. Come on up. Burgers. Anyway, that's a lot of fun. So take care, everyone. Appreciate your comments, and still I do appreciate the links and everything, the shares. I will not get through to everything, absolutely not. But what we can make common sense of anything, we can make common sense of other things, and questioning is always there for us. So continue to have fun, be calm, treat others as you like to be treated, and understand that maybe this isn't over yet, but what is most important is that we raise our vibration. Absolutely. So take care, everyone. Bye for now, and we'll see you for sure Monday, live at 5 Mondays. And until then, enjoy your day your way. Bye for now.